Fernando Pimentel of ThaBoxingvoice.com here with Coach Joel Diaz. Coach, Ruslan Provodnikov is now in your corner. You're working his corner now. Back in the days, a few years ago, you actually helped Timothy Bradley train for Ruslan Provodnikov at the time that he was an unknown fighter. Now that you know more about him, you were actually against him once. What have you worked with him on?
Well, we all know Ruslan Provodnikov. He's a fighter that comes forward and he just wants to fight. He wants to bang in there. You know, there's not a lot of things you can change on a fighter like Ruslan Provodnikov, especially at this point of his career, at his age. But you can improve a little bit of his little mistakes. You know, what I've worked on Ruslan is a little bit more defense, because he takes a lot of punishment. You know, and sometimes by him taking that risk of getting in there, and he takes like 3 or 4 or 5 punches sometimes to get 1 or 2, and in the process, sometimes his face is beat up. You know, he cuts easily. He has sensitive skin. So what I've done is I want him to be, I don't want him to be full of blood. I want him to avoid cuts, so that he can perform better. So due to that, I improved his defense a little more. I taught him how to close the gap. I taught him how to cut the ring. There's a lot of things, man, that Ruslan Provodnikov needed to learn, especially for fighters that move on him. He's a fighter that, that we've seen. You move on him, you give him problems. So now I got him ready for that. If Molina wants to come and box him like Matisa did, we're ready for that. If he wants to stand in front of him and exchange punches, we're ready for that. And those are things. That's why we started camp early. We started 8 weeks away. So he's ready, and as you can see, he's very motivated. He really loves the camp. Great environment. He loves it. He even said the other day that he's thinking about buying a house in India.
Now, we see him here when he's clowning around. He's yelling, I'm Bear Man, I'm champion, and you're telling stories about him coming into the gym. How much of a pleasure is it to have him at your gym with the rest of your stable? The Magdalenos, as you said earlier, Lopez, Diego De La Hoya. How much of a pleasure is he in addition to that stable?
Having a fighter like Ruslan Provodnikov in my camp, it basically generates a lot of confidence in everybody else, because a lot of the fighters that I have in the camp, they watch Ruslan Provodnikov and they wanna be like him. They wanna be known like him. So all it does is it motivates some of my fighters that are coming up to create the same kind of action that Ruslan Provodnikov has. And that's that kind of trainer that I am. I want action fights. Sometimes if you don't win the fight, you win the crowd. That's just the way it is. I know it's very important to win. Winning is very important. But, I'd rather have my fighters lose and people like you, than win and people don't. That's just the way it is. That's my theory. And I like it because if my fighters give a good show, put up a hell of a fight, and they don't win, yeah, people will be happy. But if they win and they boo you, I won't be happy, because, that's part of my work. And Ruslan being in my camp motivates a lot of my fighters. A lot of great energy that is forming in the gym. They all get along. They all help each other. They all talk to each other and they have fun, And that's what it's about. A camp has to have some positive vibes, and that's the way it is.
Now, as a trainer, when this fight was announced, it was pretty much thought of to be a Fight of the Year candidate. As a trainer, mentally, does that change anything when it comes to training a fighter like Ruslan? As you stated, he is a action-paced fighter, but now you're teaching him movement. Does that go into your mind?
It doesn't change anything. The fact that I'm teaching him movement is I'm not teaching him not to throw punches, I'm just teaching him to avoid getting hit, but he's going to be hitting, And I know that he's going to get in there and do what he does best, is try to knock John Molina out. And John Molina is going to retaliate, and it's going to generate a fight, But at the same time, with his approach, he's going to try to approach in a smarter way now than just go in there and just take punches on the way in. That's just the difference. But nothing's going to change. Ruslan Provodnikov can be fighting anybody, and is always going to be candidate Fight of the Year, as long as you come to fight.
Now, what should the fans expect June 11th on Showtime, John Molina versus Ruslan Provodnikov? What do you expect?
Well, the fans should expect a great fight, a very exciting fight, full action fight. And, like you said, candidate Fight of the Year. I know there's a lot of fighters out there. There are great fighters and they're warriors and they're fighting for that position. Salido and Vargas, they're up to candidate Fight of the Year as well. You saw Vargas in his last fight. Mura. That was fight of the year. So it's a tough task, but it all comes in play. They as fighters, they're gonna do their job, and the fans are gonna decide whose fight was the best and what fight has the more action.
Well, thank you for your time, Joel. As always, Fernando Pimentel for ThaBoxingVoice.com, here with Joel Diaz, saying we'll see you guys at the fights.
No other sight in the game could see the boxing voice.